Hi, this is Steve Marsella. Watch my interview on Hibernian TV.
Steve, welcome to Hibs. What's your initial impression of life here at the club?
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. Great place to be here. A nice place in the mornings to turn up and park the car in the car park and just walking along and looking at the fields. It's something, we're not used to, so it's absolutely brilliant.
As soon as Terry was appointed the new manager here at the club, was it inevitable that you would follow him here to Edinburgh?
Well, I had a few things to tie up first at Inverness, and to be honest with you, Inverness were talking to me and they were offering me deals, and they didn't, at the time they'd not given me permission to speak to Hibs, and then the chairman had phoned me and said that I had permission then to speak to Hibs.
And obviously, how have you found it since you've joined the club? Because you've been here for about a week.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I've been out and about in the car quite a lot in the last few days, and I've also been working the keepers, but, I wouldn't have changed anything. It's been good.
It's an interesting remit that you've got because you're head of player recruitment, but also the goalkeeper coach as well. How are you going to juggle those responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, we were off yesterday, so after training on Tuesday, we trained Tuesday and I drove down the road and went to watch the game on Tuesday, watched the game on Wednesday, met people on Wednesday and then in the evening, and then drove up this morning, left about 4 p.m. this morning from Yorkshire into training for 8 o'clock.
So what's your background in the game then, Steve? Because I know you've been involved with a variety of different clubs and obviously you've got a good track record now with Terry and with Morris. Yeah,
I mean, I've been coaching a long time. I think 22 years I've been coaching and also doing scouting as well. I've worked at various clubs, mainly in the UK, but I've also worked over in Iceland as well. Right.
And obviously the clubs that you've previously worked with, and you're from Huddersfield originally, is that right?
Yeah, I'm from Huddersfield, and I've worked at Huddersfield Town, I've worked at Barnsley, Grimsby, Notts County, Brentford, Crewe, Accrington, over in Iceland. I've worked for the SFA as well, so I think probably one or two I've missed as well.
So when you first started working with Terry, was that when he was in charge at Brentford?
Yeah, I met Terry at Brentford. I was working for Terry and also doing the kids at QPR, so it was good.
And in terms of, what Terry wants from a player and what Morris wants from a player, is that why this team works and how it's worked up at Inverness? Your knowledge of non-league football down in England and the lower leagues is so beneficial? Yeah,
I think Inverness is a little bit different because Inverness tell you how much money you've got. So then you've got to think, well, where do I go shopping with that money? So the lower leagues, sometimes players actually have more money in the lower leagues than they were up in Inverness. But entice them to the SPL to play against teams like Hibs.
Definitely. And in terms of obviously the clubs that you go to watch, then is it reserve team matches down south and non-league matches, or is it wherever you kind of get a lead that there might be a talented player on the horizon? Well,
it's to be honest with you, I mean the games you watch down south would be Conference North, Conference South, League 1, League 2. Then you'd see a lot of under-21 games. Sometimes you get bounce games, which is behind closed doors, and sometimes there'll be trialist games as well. But sometimes I've not really been looking at the Premier League because of the money the boys are on in the Premier League.
But in terms of mileage that you managed to clock up in the last year or since you've been up at Inverness, it must have been huge.
Yeah, I think it's around about between 50 to 60,000 a year, and then you've got your coaching on that as well. But the only good thing is now is missing out the A9, because the A9 from Inverness to Perth 2 or 3 times a week was a bit daunting.